We got to try a hot new restaurant in Philadelphia, and I really need to tell you about it. And that's starting right now. During a weekend Philly trip, we had plans to eat big on Saturday. Cheesesteaks, roast pork, tapas, you know, the good stuff. But arriving Friday night, we had nothing specific we were in the mood for. We decided to take a walk around our hotel to see what options there were in that area. We stumbled into a really cool place called Darling Jack's Tavern, which had opened just 2 weeks prior to our visit. We felt like it had an interesting enough menu and cozy feel, but we actually had no clue what we were in for at all. So let me break it down for you, starting with how we maybe almost didn't get to try it. When walking around that area, we had looked at menus at a few different places around that vicinity, but nothing really hit us as must try. When we came across Darling Jack's, it was the vibes inside that really made it look appealing to us. So we went inside and we talked to the hostess. We were relaxed, we were okay with a little bit of a wait, so we asked what kind of wait it would be. She did some calculations, looked around a little bit, did a little more calculations. Then she told us there were no tables. Then she said, wait, walked it back a little bit, did some more calculations, and walked us right to the back. As we walked back there, we turned a corner and we saw another pretty packed dining room, but we didn't even make it that far. Just to the left was this little special nook where she sat us. And it was like the one super private table that was actually right across from the open kitchen. Big win for us. I love that kind of stuff. Darling Jack's didn't seem like a terribly big place, and the ability to literally watch the kitchen operations really reassured our choice. But the bar looked really impressive when we walked by, so this seemed like the perfect opportunity to jump on the Espresso Martini trend. Theirs is made with cardamaro, fresh espresso, brown butter, fleur de sel, nice and fancy. And fancy is a theme that weaves in and out of this experience. Getting into the sip, it was absolutely amazing. I couldn't tell you why espresso martinis have gotten trendy this year, but they're usually pretty unremarkable in my opinion. In this case, they use something vastly different from vodka, cardamaro, which is a bitter aperitif, and that detail actually made me feel not so bad about ordering an espresso martini before dinner. It picked up a good amount of froth from the brown butter that they added, which on its own added a little bit of nuttiness and also emulsified with the oil from the coffee. Really amazing cocktail. This is the kind of thing that goes down pretty easy too, but I managed to nurse this throughout the meal. However, I did eventually get into a don't do me dirty martini, but that was much later in the meal, and that was mainly because it came with a castelvetrano, I think that's how you say it, olive brine, and with the olives. Yeah, let's go with that reason. Now, we didn't intend this at all, but we did keep things fancy with our appetizer. And the appetizer was a pretty tough choice. I think we could have gone with just about anything that was on that list, but there was something particular about the crispy and fancy potato that drew us in. Cassie's actually a big fan of crab salad and horseradish, so I'm sure that played into it quite a lot. But I think more it was the description, i.e. the name, and some of the quick reviews we were able to pull up inside the restaurant. Now, when considering what to get, I guess we could have also watched things as they got put out by the expediter that was literally right next to me, but we were distracted by the drinks and by the menu. No worries though, because this was absolutely amazing. It was one of those multi-layer thin potato fried thingies, and it's fried in such a way that the outside is like insanely crispy. Think about like potato gratin cut into rectangles and then fried until delicately brittle. Inside though, the potato was super creamy. Honestly, I talk a big game here from time to time, but I cannot pretend to understand how they accomplished this at all. And we haven't even gotten to the other things on the plate yet. Horseradish creme fraiche, super tasty, brought a little bit of sourness and heat to the bite. Crab salad on top brought a little freshness and a little bit of sweetness. This is one of those dishes that you wish never ends. Really, really good. Picking a main course though is really where I struggled. It's not that the things didn't sound good. For some reason, I just really wasn't in the mood for a lot of it that day. At one point, I just threw up my hands and said, I'll just go with the steak frite. But there was something about the gochujang barbecued lamb rib that actually sounded really, really good. Gochujang barbecue glaze, Korean lamb sausage, spicy cucumbers, ramp kimchi, peanut furikake. Actually, all of it sounded good. I went with it. And I'll start out here by saying I like lamb, but I don't exactly love it. This though was absolutely incredible, amazing, all of those adjectives. Honestly, in all of the excitement between the drinks, the appetizer, watching all the kitchen activity, I forgot there was supposed to be lamb sausage underneath. So, as I was eating through, that sausage totally surprised me. Well, let's see how it tastes. First, the rib. You gotta get through the sweet and spicy glaze before you even get to the meat. Gochujang and lamb are a perfect match. In terms of how the lamb was cooked, let's say perfect. Perfect. Fall off the bone is a cliche thing when you talk about any kind of ribs, so I'm gonna spare you that. This had some structure to it and didn't just disintegrate off the bone as you bit through it, and you had to chew on it a little bit. This is how I want to eat through lamb, not just like a mushy mess. And it wasn't terribly gamey as lamb tends to be, but there were a lot of things on the plate to cut through any gaminess or fattiness in the lamb. The sausage surprise was incredible. It was a fairly wide round disc that was deeply browned on both sides. A little of the same gochujang glaze on there, but also some seasonings within the ground meat. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to name them all, and frankly, when you do that, you kind of take a lot of the fun out of this type of experience, and you lose focus on the big picture. This was amazing. The kimchi was awesome. Funky, spicy, vinegary, great with fatty lamb and with the rich gochujang. The cucumbers honestly fell into the kimchi a little bit, and it was kind of indistinguishable to me, but not to say bad. They were just there and unremarkable. And it was right around that time where I decided I needed to try that dirty martini with the castelvetrano olives. Maybe over the top, maybe too much olive brine in there, but that's kind of my thing. I loved it, and I'm definitely stealing that idea. Dessert sounded really good to me. Come on. They had a classic cheesecake, chocolate and halva mousse, which sounded really good, and a lemon olive oil cake. Based on everything we tried, I have no doubts that these would have been amazing. But practically across the street, we saw VanLeewen ice cream, so we decided to spread the love a little bit and stop there before we headed back to our hotel. I got malted milk ice cream with French fries inside. It was freaking weird. Guys, we're doing it. We're catching up to Emerald. Make sure you subscribe so we get there faster, and hit a like on the video if you enjoyed it. This place, Darling Jack, is literally on the same block as Drury Beer Garden, where I got to try my very first edible $100 bill. You can see that and the rest of my Philadelphia food adventures by clicking into the playlist right here.